About a lack of integrity, that we get to see people who are willing to risk disrepute and dishonor. And if they bring it upon themselves, that association be upon their families and their friends, and indeed all those who know them. Yesterday we began a conversation talking about unmasking fraud, and many say it has reached monumental proportions in Nigeria and all over the world. Well, masking fraud, but we need your help to do that, because for the most part, we are the victims of fraudulent people who ought to be patriots, but day in, day out, devise ingenious negative means to extract hard-earned resources from Nigerians. In this background feature, Francis talks with Dr. Hassan Sadiq, a security and strategy expert. They delve into new technologies and how hackers and scammers exploit this.
If we are looking at a scam 419 fraud, in fact, there's internet fraud. Added to it, internet scam, and you now have Yahoo. All this together, yes, are fraud that when a society is evolving, these are the things that you continue to see. But it is responsibility of the government to design the strategy, the architectural way of making sure you bring this all to minimal level. The collapse of the family value in society. There's no fear of God in the mind of the people. The culture of our family ties, that those days, if you involve in terms of what we call stealing, then it's like abomination in society. But today, society controls it. Then it tends to have its way, while other people now take it as a means. Then we now said economic, because there are a lot of family today, barely they cannot feed, they cannot take care of themselves. Greed now come, because there are people, they are not really poor, but because of their mindset, they want to acquire a quantum rich. On this basis, you see they move into even stealing what they don't need. In fact, in terms of people who are representative in government, who are involved in a systemic corruption, that the kind of money they involve, it is not what they need. That's what I call character deficit in society today, whereby it is from top to bottom. Take a plumber, take artisans. For you to see who is honest is difficult. You cannot easily involve in a business that somebody wants to run it. The next thing is to wreck it down. And all this has multiply effect in our society today that we are all facing. First of all, we can say some parents don't care for their worlds, their children, they don't care. Then the children grow and believe that, look, I need to fend for myself and I'll get it whichever means I can do it. These are also ways it has resulted. You see your child who just finished either secondary school, the kind of dressing he's wearing, you are not conscious about it. You don't ask questions. You leave them at their own peril. Now, what do you expect those children to do? So, which means they fend for themselves and you don't care. Parents today are even encouraging their own children to go into Yahoo. We've had cases where a parent is buying a laptop and telling his people to teach his children how to know how to go into Yahoo. People now come and said you should invest 2 million. In the next 2 weeks, you are going to get 5 million. You should ask yourself, how possible is it? So, there are behavior that people demonstrate that does not speak their credibility in what the person is discussing. You should discourage it. That is why I said you should be someone who does not cheat, but don't allow anybody to cheat you. It's a principle that when you abide by that, it will be able to help you, to guide you, whereby you are looking for money, but not the fast, quick one that will put you in trouble. Yeah, there are people who take begging, we call them corporate beggars. They move around, they beg here, they beg here, they beg here. Yes, we have to discourage such things in society. If someone has run to you, able to maybe for the first time, well, out of benevolence, then you do a help, and you see the person again doing the same thing, you should be able to discourage. Don't offer assistance to such people, because indirectly you are encouraging them that begging, it is good, and they should continue in that line.
It's Weekend Deal, and because of you, we are sending your messages. Let's know what you've experienced. We know it's happening nationwide. If people are talking about monumental proportions, then it's huge. Share your experience. Don't feel down. Don't feel bad. What we're discussing now are ways which we can be proactive so we can nab them and then again nip all these negative activities in the bud before they act. We know and we take the requisite precautions. And it's time to move further now. There are many people, kind-hearted Nigerians, who had non-governmental, not-for-profit organizations, and they seek to help a lot of people who are facing challenging times. It could be because of natural disasters, or just because you are down on your luck and you need assistance. Well, they are there often to the rescue in an honest way. What we find now is that there's a group of people who are doing this in a fraudulent manner. So we have the good, we have the bad, we have the ugly. Let this feature from Kano throw more light.
Few years back, she set an empowerment center in Kano. Her aim was to train some of the identified widows and out-of-school girls within her community. And within a short period, her tailoring industry was able to give hundreds of widows and other less privileged a sustainable means of self-reliance.
We used to go the community, identify them through leaders, through parents, and through association.
Shimau commits so much effort into this highly demanding enterprise. And today, a lot of philanthropists do donate money and materials to Madafa Women and Youth Development Association. And this has turned the association to a donor foundation itself.
Madafa Foundation has donated over 50 sets of clothes to orphans under my association.
However, alongside genuine foundations such as Madafa, there exists a number of fraudulent charity organizations who take advantage of someone's misfortune for their own benefit.
There was a foundation under Askia Nasir Kabara, which was sharing meat during Salah. I was asked to bring 6 of my members to benefit. And there, I met a woman claiming to have a charity foundation. While each member was to get a share, this woman gathered all the meat and gave 2 members a unit to share instead of 1 each.
Shimau has been in this venture for quite long and had almost once become a victim to such an experience.
That guy that he introduced the needable person to me, he called me, Haja, if it is possible, I want you to give us the donation that you want to then donate.
It was such a long story of a fraudulent charity organization, mobilizing funds to ostensibly build a shelter for a certain vulnerable family. Fortunately, or rather unfortunately for the owners of the deceitful foundation, Shimau was involved in the project, and she brought her experience to bear. Eventually, the dubious intent could not see the light of the day.
Up to now, I didn't call him.
Okay.
and I did the job. I did the program. I support the family.
Recently, there has been a serious concern over the growing number of fraudulent charity organizations. And in most cases, the donor individuals and foundations are trapped and fall victims. The question many people ask is, how do we identify a genuine charity organization or foundation?
It's difficult because all the genuine and the fraud are registered one. What I advise is, if they come to you, ask them. Maybe they have something to show you, or the reference they do before, or go with them and see the needable person. Help them.
Directly.
Ask them what is happening. How much are you needing for the program?
Yes, that was a package from Kanu, and we get to see that indeed they are legit non-governmental organizations that seek to improve the livelihood of many Nigerians. But there are others who want to do the opposite, who want to encroach in this regard and make money through fraudulent means. But as we continue to expand our knowledge on the different areas where they emanate from, we will see how best we can stop them, arrest them, and bring them to book. We welcome Dr. Vincent Olatunji, is the National Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Data Protection. It's great to have you with us on.
Good morning, and it's nice being here this morning.
Great. We've been looking forward to having you here on Weekend Deal. Can we just go back a bit? You know, we've been discussing since yesterday, and even when you came this morning, you listened to some of the packages that we have aired thus far. But some Nigerians, some experts, security experts, strategy experts are saying that it's the breakdown of family values that has brought us, largely, one of the biggest reasons why we are talking about this today, because oftentimes it's Nigerians who perpetuate such activities on other Nigerians, you know, to seize from them, to arrest from them, you know, what is legitimately theirs. And, you know, it's a kind of stealing, if we say. But what is your take on that?
Thank you very much. I think it's a topic that has so many branches here and there. I won't say it's limited to only lots of family values. Yes, family values. For instance, when we were growing up, you did not, in fact, it was possible for you to bring ordinary person home without proper explanation. But these days, you see undergraduates bringing home latest vehicles, the likes of Range Rover, Lexus, BMWs, bringing them home, and their parents don't even question them. In fact, there was a time that some mothers somewhere in the state, they formed an association that the law enforcement agents were really harassing their children who were into Yahoo. The women coming together to form such associations. So where do we place our family? To
promote it?
To ensure that they form a kind of pressure group to talk to a policeman, not to harass their children. And even you see some of them going to churches now in court to do Thanksgiving.
Donate large sums of money.
Donate money. Yeah, these are religious leaders that are supposed to lead us, tell us what is right, and this never happened before. But I think what has really contributed to it mainly is the advent of level of development, level of urbanization, the deployment of technologies that you can really sit right in the comfort of your room with your handset. You can do a lot of damage to people's life. So it's like we are moving from uncivilized world to a civilized world. So it's one of the sacrifices, one of the downsides of civilization, of urbanization, of deployment of technologies. So, and
of growth and development.
It's a two-way thing. Yes, those who commit crimes, they want to take advantage of you. But in a way, if you are not greedy again, where you don't sow, you want to reap. They are saying they have some money, they want to move from one country to the other. Please provide your account to help us move. We'll give you this amount of percentage. And quickly you jump at it, and you know that you did not even put any money there.
It does seem that because these scams come in different ingenious ways, sometimes we ask if our youths or anyone involved in this kind of scam will deploy this ingenuity and brilliance to legitimate means. Nigeria will not just be giant of Africa, will be giant of the world.
Absolutely.
Is that your take?
Yes. I think what we should do is to look at, there's something that I always refer as harvesting them. Instead of using their knowledge negatively, they can deploy it positively. They can even become cyber warriors in country. And you know one thing with Nigerian youth, they are very versatile. They have inherent potentials. Now you just need to put in place necessary measures to tap them, and they can take risk. These are some of the attributes of somebody who can really make it in life. The big names that we see in the tech ecosystem, the Zuckerbergs, the Bill Gates, even outside tech, Richard Branson. These are people who were able to really take serious risk when they were growing up. That even Richard Branson, one of his teachers told him that if you didn't end up in jail, you become a multi-billionaire that will be known all over the world.
And so that's what is happening today.
That's what is happening today. He didn't go to jail, and he's known all over the world.
He's making billions.
So, and we have
perhaps
such power.
Our youth that in fact, we will say you won't go to jail.
Yeah.
You will make billions and you'll be an employer of labor.
Absolutely.
Maybe we need to speak more positively to these young people so they know that Nigeria depends on them and believes in them.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, data is supposed to be private and sacrosanct. And with an agent such as yours, even when it has gone out of our hands, it's being kept, in a way that is sacrosanct. No one has access to it except we permit it. But it does seem that these days, our data is in areas or hands of people that we didn't hand it over willingly. We didn't give permission. How does it come out of the secluded and safe place where it ought to be into the hands of mischief makers and fraudsters such as the ones we speak of on the program today?
The new world now is being driven by data. When we talk of data, different things that can put together to make sense out of it. And a lot of global giants now, I usually refer to them as the FAGAM, Facebook, Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. They make huge money out of data by using people's data for one thing or the other. But if you keep saying data is the new world, is the new life, is this or that, if you don't derive value out of such data, you can't make anything out of it. And deriving value, you need to look at the variance of this data, that is kind of data you have, the volume of such data, and with our population in Nigeria, a lot of activity going on with such data, and the velocity, the level of change, how regularly these changes, you need to really understand that. I look at general corporate data and personal data, and here I will narrow what I'm going to say to personal data. And your personal data is anything that can be used to identify you as a natural person, in terms of your names, your email addresses, your telephone numbers, your bank details, your BVN, your passport number, and so on. And there's some other aspects of data that we refer to as...
You have all that?
Yes, they refer to as sensitive data.
You can check now.
No, well, I'm copying it there. And there are some others that we refer to as sensitive data, like your health record with your health management service provider.
That one you don't have?
No, and your sex life, your religious belief, your labor lineage. Now, when such data is given out, or when it's to be taken from you, there's something that is really important that they need to do to get your consent for such data to be given out freely and willingly. They are not being forced to give out that data. And you have some rights when you give out your data, right to be informed why such data is being collected. for what purpose, how long are they, well, how are they processing for how long, and so on. And your right of rectification, if there is any part of it that is not accurate, you have the right for it to be corrected. And right of access, you should have access to your data at any point in time. And right of erasure, you have the right to say, don't even process my data again. Now, when such data is given out, whoever or any organization you are giving out such a data to is referred to as your data controller or your data processor. Now, all these controllers, data controllers and data processors, they are supposed to place in place measures to ensure that such data that you give to them is protected, is not being used for the purpose for which you gave it to them. Now, the question now is, do they know this? That is the obligation to ensure that such data is protected, is safeguarded, and processed within the law of the country, so it doesn't go to the hand of those who use it maliciously for other purposes. That is where we come in, to ensure that these organizations, they put in place what we refer to as technical and organizational measures to ensure that all your data with them is protected.
What is effective is what we're talking about today. How effective is it is the thrust now. But we'll talk more when we come back. We have a feature which is talking about government impersonation scams. You see, how does this come about? Because sometimes, even though there's an element of inaccurate information, oftentimes they have some level of accuracy when they spread such information so that they can pull and lure the would-be victim, to key into the scam. This feature will share more.
Scamming are in different levels. Through internet, through phones, through banks. My own personal experience was on my mobile phone where they sent me some code, and when I responded to the code, before I knew it, some thousands of naira has run out of my account. Sometimes, that was 2021, someone called me and was like, are you Udeme? I said yes. He mentioned like two of my name and be like, oh, you needed work in the ministry, and that if I still need the job. So I was like, no problem, I need the job. I would say, no, if you need a job, can you come to the ministry like the next day? I said, no problem. So he called me and he ended the call and now called back after like 20 minutes. He sent another number to call me so that I will call the number. I said, if I call the person will tell me everything to do. That is the main person that will give me the job. When I called the person now told me what to do. I should bring this, then I should add 5,000 naira.
A guy called me telling me of my name being included in the people that will be paid COVID-19 palliative, and that I had not received the money because I had not dropped my account number.
These respondents are few of many Nigerians that have fallen prey to imposters who claim to be government officials representing various government agencies or strongly connected to those in the corridor of power.
We've received reports over time about some unscrupulous elements who impersonate government officials and some impersonate some professionals, and they claim to be this and that at most times, and they tend to take advantage of members of the public who are not well informed or who are desperate over situations, especially when it pertains to employment. We've had scenarios where some persons claim to be employing in the civil service of the state. We've collected money, different sums of money from a whole lot of persons. When we get these complaints, we immediately commence investigation.
Scammers do sometimes pretend to be calling on suspecting individuals from government agencies, asking for personal information, emphasizing that they will miss out on some government benefits, such as employment, lucrative contracts, political appointments, social security benefits, among others. Other avenues employed by these imposters include text messages, sending anything or information for updates, and emails. Scam of any sort usually come with devastating consequences on the victims, who sometimes part with money or other valuables because of the immediate benefits they may likely get.
The way they come with it is inviting, and I entered into it. It was promising. Nothing actually has come out from it.
Even with all the strategies employed by the scammers to perpetrate their heinous crimes, security agencies are not leaving any stone unturned in ensuring that these criminal elements face the full wrath of the law.
There are subsisting laws that enables the police to prosecute this kind of persons. These are cases of fraud. These are cases of misrepresentations. These are cases of these are conducts that are likely to cause a breach of the peace. These are mostly, in fact, they're criminal cases. So we have enabling laws that we can rely on and then charge these persons to court.
There is no doubt that greed and the desire for making quick money are some of the factors responsible for this ugly trend, but there are ways out.
People should be aware of scammers. They are everywhere.
It's not encouraging. There is no need rushing over anything.
Manage what you have. I know God is working on something. There's a better tomorrow ahead of us.
The police advise members of the public this way.
We keep telling members of the public, for every time people come to you and say, I know this person and I know that person, I can give you a job, I can secure this for you and secure that for you. Don't be in such a hurry to begin to part with your cash.
Be alert, be wise, don't make yourself a victim of scam.
There's a better tomorrow. I like what he said. There's a better tomorrow. And the better tomorrow starts with us. And it continues and grows from a discourse that we're having on Weekend Deal today, such as this. Be a part. Send in your messages. Share your experiences so we can talk with the experts and together profess solutions. Before the break, I was talking with Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Yes, I will ask you a question because we're talking about government scams. But permit me to welcome Haniel Jafaru, is the cybersecurity expert and executive director, HTC Academy.
Thank you.
I know you are doing excellent things over there for Nigeria.
Yes,
We'll talking with you in just a minute. But let me just wrap up or continue my conversation with Dr. Vincent. We've gone to government scams now, and that feature shed more light. You know, I was saying earlier that even though sometimes some of the information they send will be victims are false, they also have some accurate information that they combine it with, which can lure the victims, you know, so that they participate in these scams, and then they lose sometimes huge sums of money, and has a traumatic effect on them in the aftermath. How is this data coming out? You say, you know, you are guarding, you are safeguarding. You know, how safe is your guard? How safe is your watch? The watch your commission is given.
You know, you are strong as you are just as strong as your weakest link. If there's any means through which your information can leak out, that weakest link can cause a lot of damage to your organization. For instance, you go to a bank, you open an account, and they give you your details. The following day, somebody is calling you. You are this and that. You have an account with this bank, and you need to do ABCD to really confirm your account opening, or some official has given out information to kidnappers, to armed robbers, about what the amount you have in your account, or your family members, what they have.
Where do you suspect that kind of information?
No, I'm coming there.
Okay.
I'm coming there. And when such information is given out now, and that is why the Nigerian Data Protection Act 2003 and the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, where we come in to ensure that organizations put in place those measures that I mentioned before in terms of technological measures that will address the kind of technology that you are deploying, whatever you want to put in place to ensure that your data is secure, so that there is no unauthorized access. Now, the other side with the organizational measures, which will speak to your privacy policy and the type, the nature, and the level of staff you have, that means you have to have measures to put in place consistent awareness, consistent capacity building. That your staff, when you have access to some information, there are some things you need to do that has to be part of your culture. It should be your permanent mindset that this information cannot be divulged anyhow. Okay. Or you go to a bank, they tell you to put your details down on the paper. Anybody can just get a snap such detail.
Mr. Jafaru, what we also learn is that as up to date as agencies and companies strive to be, sometimes the hackers are miles ahead. So as you're updating and making your information sacrosanct, they are also upgrading and penetrating deeply. Where are we with that?
Okay, well, we should understand that as long as cybersecurity is concerned and cybercrime is concerned, the bad guys are always ahead. So the good guys are trying to catch up. Okay. So it's
why are the bad guys ahead? Why are you not ahead? Why are you a bad guy?
Well, even in the concept of policing, the reason why there is police is because there is crime. So if there is no crime, there will be no policing. So crime is always what gives birth to the concept of policing. So it's a general concept that transcends the fiscal world.
Cybercrime.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there are a whole lot of things that most of the tools that these guys use, they are tools that are available. They are tools that you can easily access from the internet, and there are tools that are practically open source, which means most of them you don't even need to pay for them. Okay. You get? So these tools are available. These guys make use of these tools and use these tools to carry out whatsoever thing they want to carry out. But beyond the tools being available, looking at crime from this aspect, it's largely social engineering, and social engineering is a deceptive way of manipulating someone to release specific information, even when you don't intend to or desire to release that information. So they tend to work on the mindset of their victim by making them see reasons why certain information should be released. And when that information is released, they can now use it to carry out whatsoever thing they want to carry out or further their criminal activities. So Doctor was making mention of the fact that there is need to put in place technology. Then there is also need to put in place to engage your staff in the place of training.
Create more awareness.
Largely it is technology, then process, which is how things are being done, which is why he made mention of the fact that someone can come to snap picture, to capture image of account details in a bank. But the question we should ask ourselves is, why is that account, that paper on the desk?
That's where the enlightenment and awareness comes in.
It starts from process. Okay. It starts from process. The awareness comes in the place of people. Process should be how things are being done, how things should be done, as long as data of or personal identifier.
We need to come in here. Yes, process should be deliberate and should be sequential and should be structured and should be authentic and done right. But amidst this process, there are negative-minded people. We have come to learn that some of these hackers or these fraudsters have partners in crime.
Yeah,
in some agencies and companies.
That's what we call it.
So this leaving open, I'm sure it's hardly the case. That is hardly the case.
That's just an example.
People delve in. There are people they pay or who they partner with to give them relevant information. But we'll continue that conversation when we return. A break beckons. We'll be right back. Don't go away. You're watching Weekend Deal. We thank you for your keen participation. We're talking with Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Commissioner and CEO of the Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Haniel Jafaru joined us, cybersecurity expert and executive director, HTC Academy. We have been talking since yesterday. The victims are listening. God forbid, we'll be victims as well. The time to learn how to be proactive consistently and to share the message with our loved ones, our parents who are elderly, neighbors is now, and that's why they are here. Jafar, you were speaking before we took that break.
Yes. Okay. So when it has to do, you made mention of the fact that there are people who are already inside. Yeah, there are actually two categories of. In fact, that concept is called insider threats, because the criminal usually, in most cases, in some cases, partner with someone that is inside. But there are two categories of insider threats. There are the voluntary insiders who really don't understand. They were exploited per se, and they clicked or they did what they were not supposed to do, unknown to them that they are trying to help the criminal to complete his task. Then there is the malicious insider who has a stake in the business. So it's not just this guy that was exploited for vulnerable reasons, but this guy that understands his stake, knows what he's to do, knows how he's to do it, has a role to play, has a stake in the business, and at the end of the day gets paid. Like taking for example the ransomware as a service, which is a new form of threat, or not new per se, but a trending form of threat, and it's a business enterprise. There is the guys that creates the ransomware. There are guys that market the ransomware. There are guys that deploy the ransomware, and there are guys that ensure that deploying the ransomware is easy. So it's like an organized crime. Everybody has a web of deceit. So when an organization falls victim of that ransomware, it encrypts the whole file in the organization. The organization will not be able to work. They would need to pay a specific ransom. There was a case I had to handle where they had close to 30 systems all infected with ransomware, to the end that they were asking per system to pay almost $1,000, and that would mean about
per day or per hour.
For that particular system. Okay. So what they needed to do is to pay down a total of about 30,000 naira, and the business does not make that much for as profit in a month.
Okay, can I come in here? You know, some of the people who are watching us today have not heard these words before, and when those who are falling victim, all they saw was their life savings, leave their account. The technology, the names may stick after a while. The ability to process them and work with them will come with training. Many elderly people, middle-aged people may not have the time to go learn all of that. What they are talking about. What ought I to do? My money has been stolen. Can I get it back? And those who have not been robbed, what can they do to prevent it? But we'll come to proactive solutions. Dr. Vincent, you have a humongous task on your hands. And we just heard from Jafaru now that these fraudsters are often miles ahead. We have described this as a monumental negative practice, as impacting not just in Nigeria, it's all over the world. You know what is on ground here, and you hear everyday stories. What do you think your commission needs to do to be miles ahead? Because we also, who are meant to protect and provide solutions, need to be ahead. What technologies are you bringing to bear? What advice, expert advice in terms of technology-driven assessment are you giving agencies so that we can succeed?
Thank you. On our part, as a government, what we need to do is to have an effective law in place, and to ensure that the issue around accountability is taken seriously by data controllers and data processors.
That's been ongoing?
It's ongoing, but with the law that just been signed into law on the 12th of June 2023 by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has now further empowered us to ensure that we go after organizations who don't put such measures in place. Now, between now and December, what we expect data controllers and processors to do is to register with the Commission. I'm a data processor in Nigeria. I'm a data controller in Nigeria. These are my details by privacy policy, by the contact of my data processing officer to oversee your data processing activities. Your data processing activities, what kind of data do you collect? Where is your exact location? Where are your contact addresses? Where can we locate you? What kind of data do you process? Who do you share such data with? How do you store such data? These are all the things that we look at for now in your organization. You don't have them in place. are breach, I will
There
come
are
after you.
consequences. Okay,
Yes.
thank you for that information. When next we'll touch ground with you, you will tell us what you're going to do to provide more enlightenment beyond what we're doing on the program today. Solutions, Jafaru, being proactive. We hardly have knowledge of many of the things you're talking about. We just use our laptop, send messages, do emails. We know that people who are a step higher, but many people are not at your level, many Nigerians. And that is not a license for fraudsters to take advantage of us. What ought we to do?
As long as crime is concerned, there are two ways criminals engage their targets. They either engage with you by having a level of communication with you, or they don't. So for those they engage with, they communicate with, as he had rightly said, greed is the major ingredient to that. So if one has to go into any business with somebody they don't know or someone they've not seen before, there is the need. I think it should be something that is within us, that there is a need to verify and validate. Verification in the case, ensure that what they are telling you is accurate. But beyond that, because they can be so on point that what they are telling you is accurate, but you have to take it a step further to validating it beyond just verifying what they've said. So there is need for us to ensure that
validation involves what? You do your risk. Because once I bought, I wanted to buy an air ticket through one, I almost called the airline, and I Googled, I saw, I checked, I asked my sister in Lagos to check. She did. She checked, she verified the number. I paid online. And the minute I paid, I called my a friend who was already, at the airport, and I told her that I'll be joining her in a short time. So I paid for 2 tickets for myself and, a sibling. And I got to the airport, and when they checked there, what is it called? I hadn't paid for anything. But good thing then, I did a transfer, so I screenshot what I did. But by the time they checked, all that research my sister and I had done had vanished from the airlines company, is it their website or whatever. So someone just did some fast work, created a website. We also have a case where a lady was in her home. She had money in her bank account, and she woke up in the morning and it had been cleared completely. It was empty. She was at home. So when the case of someone calling her and say, do business with me, I'm into exporting and importing, but we'll come back to have you answer that question. Onyinyeolabi has been working assiduously, and there's much talk about prevention and awareness. There's never too much information out there. Of course, it's in our best interest. Onyi, please share more.
For anyone to be able to survive, if I will use that word, in this age and time, there's a need for you to have a bit of knowledge of digital skills, or how to use some digital tools that could help you. For instance, these days you cannot no longer fill physical or paper forms. You must log online to be able to fill a form. The virtual community means that you could be here and you're interacting with someone, say in the United States, and you'll be interacting as if you're close by. But you will need the ability to understand how to use the tool that enables that interaction. That is the essence. And so that's an important thing for every individual. No one is left out. There was a time when they wanted to disburse funds for farmers in Nigeria. Sometime back, the government wanted to do it. They have to energize the farmers by getting them phones so that they can actually get an alert. Now, these are digital literacy approach or digital enablement approach. And for them to be able to use those gadgets, somebody needs to teach them. So that teaching process is digital literacy. Most of the common fraud we have in Nigeria is the what in cybersecurity we'll call social engineering, or other persons call it hacking the human. They don't go as far as breaking into your phone or hacking your information. Rather, they send you a panic message. A code is sent to you. Your account is blocked. Do this and do that, or else you will not have access. That's a panic message. That's the approach they use. They hack your emotion. They create fear in you. And then before you know it, you release an information you're not supposed to release. Now, when somebody says, I'm from your bank, your account has a problem. In fact, we need to know your PIN in order to, and you quickly send. By the time you send, it means that you didn't have a proper knowledge of what you shouldn't do. You need to learn the basics of cybersecurity, which one of the basics is passwording. It's a basic thing that everyone should learn how to do. Now, the rule says that your passwords should be something that only you can remember. People are beginning to find it difficult to say, this is what I remember. And for that reason, they'll just write their birthday. Don't use your birthday. If you go to any platform now, you want to create an account, they will tell you to create a password that has a character, a number, a special case, and it shouldn't be less than 8 characters. Some also have things that shows you a strong password, a weak password. Then the other thing about password is that you're advised also to change it every 3 months to be safe. Then the other aspect apart from passwording is what we use in most apps right now, two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is more like a second layer of security on your online space account.
Don't be caught unawares. That's the essence of this conversation. Protect yourself. All the devices you use, there are things you need to take note of so you can protect your resources as well, because oftentimes they reach us through the devices that we use. Jafaru, tell us more. Talking about someone being at home and then her account is emptied and she was wailing, is her children's school fees or is her savings for over a year and stuff like that. And then about the air ticket that I purchased.
Okay, yeah. Now, we should understand that not all information that are available online are correct. When you go to Google and you search, Google will only the way Google algorithm works is to bring out available information, not verified information. So you have to ensure that you go to a place where you can get verified information. But that's where the concept of verified in most social media handles for companies comes to play, where you go and you see the tag there, verify, that icon that signifies that is the official account of the company. So getting information from those kind of accounts that is verified would be considered adequate and authentic than getting information from Google, because there's been cases where people go to Google, get information, and at the end of the day, that information was not accurate and they were scammed from it.
Being at home and my account is empty.
Now, being at home and your account is empty, there are many things you can do, but the first thing you need to do is to first ensure that you report to your bank for it to be noted. That needs to be noted. And there is a policy where bank cannot debit from other banks until when the open procedure of that concept comes to play. So most persons, as long as that form of crime is concerned, logging an account, logging a complaint with your bank, explaining all that happened for them to carry out an investigation, because they usually carry out more detailed forensic investigation to showcase what has happened, what will happen, and how they can return.
Do
they do. They do investigate. But again, it not depends on how you approach it.
I know that Dr. Vincent will answer this question, but let me tell you a scenario. You know, we've had colleagues, we've had neighbors, we've had friends that have been exploited. You know, somebody's ATM card, you know, she was robbed, this one chance incident, and then she was sent somewhere where she was able to get the video of the fraudster using the ATM. They gave her the record and had to get the visuals, but nothing was done. So having the information, the investigation hardly brings back the person's money or tells us where the money went. But you said that's where Dr. Vincent will come in. This money is transferred to another account.
There is actually an agency which is a subset of the Nigerian police that has been set up for this purpose. It's called the National Cyber Crime Center, where any form of crime that is related to electronic crime, you go there, you can't go to the police station and lodge a complaint of such nature and expect them to respond to you. They won't be able to respond to you. But when you go to the National Cyber, that's the NPF National Cyber Crime Center, and you lodge complaint of such nature, they have the tools, they have the technical know-how and the manpower to investigate such crime and bring forth solutions as long as you see how to recover your money. So that exists. It's a new agency that was launched sometime last year, but it exists, and we should start making use of it.
Exploiting it, okay?
Let me just add something there that is part of why we now have a data protection law, and we have the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. If such happens to anybody, they should report to us, and we'll take it up immediately. In fact, recently about 2-3 banks that we have investigated. So I can see there was a case of a lady that had about 4 million in her account, and overnight almost 3 million disappeared, and she was that was her life. Okay. We actually invited the bank. That yes, this lady reported that she don't compromise security in any way, and the money still disappeared. What happened? And the bank will have to explain to us.
Have they explained?
Yes, they did.
Okay, have the money been
part of the money has been refunded to her.
Part?
Yes, and it's part of what we are there to do. If we actually investigate and discover that the fault or the problem is from your organization, if there was an authorized access to that account without the consent of the account owner, we'll take you up, and there are provisions in law.
Okay, obviously it was unauthorized because she made a complaint, but you said part. What limits this investigation from getting the complete sum, or is that still an ongoing process?
That's a part one.
You said part of her money has been recovered.
Yes, some of her.
I said, what limits the investigation from getting the total sum, or is that still an ongoing process?
It's an ongoing process. It does play part of it. What we are here to do is to mediate.
Okay.
If there's any issue, but if you take a decision and if that decision is not okay by you, you have the provision for you also to
go further,
to ask for redress. But ideally, we invite you, ask questions about what happened, the report that has been made to us, what did you do, and what measures have we put in place. Then, through the investigation, by the time we check through your portal, your process, all you put in place, if we discover that the fault is from you, you have to compensate the data subject.
Okay.
In this case, that's the data subject that you have to compensate.
Hardly is the front from the hardly is it the fault of the victim. The stories are just too many. That's why they say monumental.
Yeah. No, some data subjects are very careless. You are at the drinking joint.
Okay.
You go back your ATM to your driver. Go and withdraw money. My card number, my number is this. Somebody is sitting by your side. I'm picking that number.
Okay, they are taking. Okay, we have some messages. Let us address one or two before we wrap up our conversation. Somebody here is laying blame on some financial institutions. I don't think this is a blame game per se. It's how we can prefer solutions. But he said his ATM card was stolen, and within seconds he made a call to the bank, and within seconds, within 2 minutes, the account had been cleared. Until date, they said they do not know where it went, how it went, and all of that. And it was saying that somebody made a comment. The money, almost like the money wasn't that much because it was less than 100,000. But he's saying that was all he had. And after paying several visits to the He names the institution here, but we won't name it. After several visits, he got discouraged, and that's where, he ended that.
Okay, so he was not supposed to, he was probably supposed to go to the National Cybercrime Center or go to the National Data Protection.
But who is to tell Nigerians about that? How much awareness is out there about that?
Well, like I said, it's a new subset of the NPF. So I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I've been there and I've seen the gadgets that they have and the facility, and it is equipped enough to investigate any form of crime, including international crimes that transcend the into the domain of Nigeria. So that awareness is an ongoing process, is something that they're still doing. So we have to ensure that we spread it and ensure that people are aware that there is that center that helps in investigating cybercrime related matters.
We want to thank you for your contribution this morning. So many comments coming, but some of them we've already addressed them in our conversation. Nigerians want to feel safe, and they are quite excited about the enlightenment you have proffered today on the program, but they are urging us to do more, especially about getting monies that have been lost. Thank you for being part of the program, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, National Commissioner and CEO, Nigeria Data Protection Commission. Thank you for coming on Weekend Deal. We are unmasking fraud, and we're doing it together with your help. Haniel Jafaru, cybersecurity expert and executive director, HTC Academy. It's been great learning from you.
It's a pleasure.
Please continue to do what you do. Let's continue to provide more awareness about what's happening out there. So you're watching Weekend Deal. Thank you for your messages. A lot of them are still coming in, but at this point, we're wrapping up the conversation. We will bring for you health tips at this time. Before health tips comes, let's take our last break. Don't go away. And it's time we wrap up our program. For 2 days, we've been talking about unmasking fraud. We've brought experts to the table to lend their voice and give expert advice about how to nip fraud in the bud. If you are proactive, if you create more awareness for yourself and those around you, go online, learn what's happening, learn what they are doing, and how you can be a step ahead. And for those people who decide to take hard-earned resources, savings put together over a lifetime, you are being unpatriotic, and you should be brought, when caught, to face the full wrath of the law, unless you choose to stop now, because we will not relent. We will continue to unmask fraud on this program and many others on the Nigerian Television Authority. From all of us here, it's bye-bye. God indeed bless Nigeria. Thank you for being a part of the program. Bye-bye.